Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and the security editions. These are recorded live Fridays 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you would like to catch the show live. Today we are going to dive right on in. We have talked about this in the past, but Apple officially has launched the first driver's license and the state ID inside of its wallet. So now if you happen to need to flash out that ID, you can flash out your iPhone instead. Be like, look, I'm a slave to Apple. Now, you can't use this for everywhere. If you're speeding down the road, don't hand them your phone. Of course, they would probably like it if you would unlock the phone and hand it to them. Oh, whoa, let me see all this stuff. Your Honor, he handed me the phone. It was unlocked. I'm looking through it. But right now, this is used for security checkpoints inside of airports, probably rolling out to a few other places, and a few other states are jumping on this as well. The idea is instead of having to go through the cumbersome thing of, like, pulling your ID out and showing it to somebody, you can tap your phone instead. No, thank you. I'm going to make you do the work. I'm going to make you check my ID. I mean, what if you came in, you're all ready to go. You're playing some, Candy Crush or whatever else. Wordly, is that the one? I don't know, whatever games you guys are playing. And I just come up behind you and I just snuff you out with some chloroform, take you, keep that phone unlocked, keep playing the Wordly game, and go on over and go, tink, there we go. We just let a bad guy in the plane. Come on, guys, come on. This is a dangerous technology here. In fact, I do have a frightening story just telling you how little some people know about some of these technologies. Look at your credit or debit cards, okay? If you have credit or debit cards, if it has a little wireless looking symbol on it, many of them are starting to roll out these new wireless cards. These are NFC cards, chip cards, that if you simply hold it near a payment option, it can pick it up. Now, a friend of mine did not even know these existed, and he pulls out his card to pay for dinner the other night, and he didn't even intend to go in and pay with it. He just whipped his card out of the wallet and ran it kind of up near the thing, and blink, he looks down, like, my credit card. I'm like, what? How'd that happen? So I explained to him what the thing is and what it looks like, and I said, yeah, you have two options. One, you can buy a wallet that is a Faraday wallet, or B, you can wrap that card in aluminum foil. Otherwise, somebody can get really close to you with cheap crap and steal your stuff. Same thing will happen right here, guys. Same thing will happen. You have this thing out and you accidentally pocket dial the transfer. Anybody walking by can, in theory, grab all of that information about you. Very frightening, guys. Very frightening. So there we have it. You can now put your ID in Apple. I'm going to tell you, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a trap. All right. Google asks the FDA to clear Fitbit for passive heart rhythm monitoring. There we are, guys. Remember, if in case you missed the memo, Google did buy Fitbit. So all of that health data, you're like, oh, look at this cool stuff. All my health. It's so cute and neat and amazing. And I can do all this cool stuff with all of my health data. And I was telling you guys for a long time, their exit strategy is to build up a big client of database and then sell it to the highest bidder, which is going to be an insurance company. Who buys it? Google. Because they're working on an insurance company and they're doing scarier stuff even than this. But the idea here is that now Fitbit can constantly FDA approval measure passive heart rhythm monitoring. So, you're doing whatever you're doing and all of a sudden Google knows that you just had a heart attack before you knew you had a heart attack. You're like in the process of, is something feeling tight? And Google's like, heart attack, heart attack, heart attack. Call the insurance company quick. Let's check his diet and exercise log. Make sure he didn't run any at all last week. We can blame this on poor lifestyle and not pay out the claim. Yeah, that's what's kind of happening here. But right now the devices can do spot checks for AFib, but they want to be able to passively check for AFib as well and feed the big data monster. But there's more things you can feed into the big Google data monster, and that happens to be your next doctor's appointments. Okay, so the Google search is all you need to book your next appointment. It's all you need to book your next appointment. Just go into Google, type in your stuff, make sure you're logged into Google so Google knows exactly who you are and what that health data looks. I mean, they might just forward the data from your Fitbit right on over to the doctor right away. And so go ahead and get in here. Now, the plan here, there was a specific name for this plan. They're working with CVS and a couple other companies. And what the idea here is that you can go into Google and be like, hey, I'm looking Minute Clinic, which is the CVS thing. That's what I was thinking of. So you can go in here and you can basically be like, hey, I need a doctor. And they're going to show you all the information and they're going to match the doctors with data that they have and stuff like that. So, of course, now Google can know what doctor you're going to. I know that's like HIPAA protected stuff. I know, but you know what? If you've just let the permissions go, you've just opted out of HIPAA for yourself. You may not have realized that's what you did, but you did. And then some guy at Google will be like, hey, what doctor is this guy using? Let's do a blast of everybody who went to cardiovascular surgeons. Ha ha! What could possibly go wrong? And if that were not enough of Google anyway, Firefox. Firefox, are you trying to piss off your entire user base? Okay, you are the only web browser that's of size that's not based on Google Chrome, right? Chromium, technically. So now what's Firefox doing? Well, every time you download Firefox, there's a unique identifier, so they can track who installed it versus who downloaded it. And of course, they're tying all this information to Google Analytics, which can de-anonymize you, by the way. So Firefox knows exactly who you are and if you are distributing that download or not. Now, those of us in Linux, you Windows suckers, those of us in Linux who are getting our Firefox from our repos, they have this that doesn't really apply to us. So more data tracking for you. But for anybody else who's going directly to Firefox's page and downloading it to install, they are tying every single download to a unique identifier, and that unique identifier will be able to identify the individual person and use specific analytics to determine who is using these individual things. It is called the DL token by Mozilla internally, used to link downloads to installations and first runs of the browser. The identifier is unique to each Firefox installer, which means it is submitted to Mozilla whenever it is used. So you go to Mozilla, you download Firefox, it ties that DL token, you install it and run it. They'll be like, this guy downloaded it and this, and this guy all installed it, and Firefox on first boot is going to report that data to Mozilla. It is possible to download new installers each time the version is released. It's also possible to use the downloaded installer again for that purpose. Now, how did this come about? Well, there was a little bug that the data accidentally leaked and caused some people to go, ruh-roh! And then Firefox like, oh yeah, I mean, we're just linking all this stuff. The data will allow us to correlate telemetry IDs and download tokens with Google Analytics. Who doesn't want that? This crazy tinfoil hat wearing psychopath, for one, this will allow us to track which installs result from which downloads to determine the answers to questions like, why do we see so many installs per day but not that many downloads per day? What, are you worried about your ad revenue? We missed out on 3 links because one guy distributed his download link to 4 other people. How shameful. How soon before they start sending bills to that guy in the mail, so be like, hey, we missed out on ad revenue. You owe us 2 pennies. So according to Mozilla's description, the identifier is used to analyze downloading installation trends, among other things. Feature is powered by telemetry in Firefox, and it applies to all Firefox channels. Interested users may verify the findings. One of the easier ways to check by the hashes of 2 or more Firefox downloaders. Same versions, language, and architecture. Each hash is different. Search for DL token using any hex editor reveals the string for the installer. So if you download... let's see, Firefox users who prefer to download the browser without unique can do it. You can download the Firefox installer from the HTTPS repository, or you can download it from a third-party site like Softronic, which is probably putting malware in your downloader. Hey, isn't that awesome? You can either be tracked and measured by us, or you can download malware, pleb. I'm telling you guys, Firefox... never mind. I don't say things like that on this channel. If you would like to help support this channel, however, I do have affiliates. Today we are highlighting A2 hosting, tlm.li/A2H. If you would like to get some web hosting, these guys are awesome. They have good customer service, good fast plans. I had overall very good experience with them, as did my various clients that I sent them to. You can use it to host your own emails, your own websites, and a few other things as well. Use the affiliate code tlm.li/A2H and you will be supporting the channel. Well, guys, let's head on over to security news. First up in security, behold, a password phishing site that can trick even savvy users. So this is a proof of concept. So you've seen the sites when you go to log in and they're like, hey, sign in with Facebook instead or whatever else. And then you go to click the site and then it pops up a little, sign in seconds. So this example is you can sign in with Apple, with Google, or with Facebook. And then this gives you a pop-up prompt. So here's the Google pop-up prompt where you enter your information, you do all your authorization, and then Google will send the authorization back to the main website. Well, in this particular case here, this was a that was the PayPal one down here. So this particular one here, this is a page that has a sign in with Microsoft pop-up. This whole thing, even the URL bar up here, is just an image. It's just an image cleverly loaded inside of this window. So you are like the portions of it are an image with the active boxes. So you click on the button, you get the pop-up, and you think you're signing into your Microsoft account. Everything looks like it's login.microsoftonline.com, whatever. You enter your information, that feeds it back to the guys, and now they have your information. So very interesting new way to get around some of these websites, and this is why I recommend never using those sites. Don't use Google, don't use Facebook at all. Don't use Google or other sites to verify your login. Have separate credentials with each site and then be like, what? Well, what if I, have too many sites? Yeah, just don't have that many sites. Honestly, just don't need the sites. Anyway, moving on. Cyclops Blink botnet is attacking and actively exploiting Asus routers. So if you happen to have an Asus router, you are going to be vulnerable if you do not upgrade firmware. Here's a list of the affected models. So there are a few routers here. A couple of them, just 3 of them are end of life. Everything else is still there. So that's exciting. So this guy here is going to be interfering with the firewalls in order to push malware beyond your security. So this one itself is a pretty one. Of course, where did it come from? It came from Russia. Putin, stop hacking our routers. Stop hacking our routers, Putin. All right. And Microsoft, first Microsoft, then Okta. New ransomware gang posts data from both. This is the Lapsus, which is also the guys that got NVIDIA. They got Microsoft. Microsoft, they're like, oh, it's such a shame. Whatever. And so basically they gain super user status. They are able to grab data. They're publishing some proprietary information. And it turns out it's a group of teenagers. Lols, teens outsmarted the Microsoft, which is kind of funny. I thought I had another article in here. Oh, I put it in Sillyville. That's right. We'll get to that one. I will comment again on this in Sillyville. Basically, it was a teen down in UK is one of them. It ended up being some later reports found, was it like 5 or 7 teenagers? All teenagers hacking into NVIDIA, Microsoft, stealing source code, posting online, demanding open source drivers. I mean, come on. Did we not all expect it was teenagers when they demanded open source drivers instead of millions of dollars? We don't care about millions of dollars. We just want open source drivers. What they say for Microsoft? Give us Minecraft maps. Oh boy. Doesn't just consist of England-based teenager. They report one suspected member is another teenager in Brazil, and 7 unique accounts have been linked with the group. One of the members is apparently so capable hacker that researchers thought the work was automated. One person involved in research about the group told Bloomberg. So according to Brian Krebs, a core member of Lapsus, which may have used the alias, is it OKLAC? I don't know, White Doxbin. Also purchased Doxbin, a website where people can post or search for personal information for others for the purpose of doxing. So this individual apparently wasn't the best admin and had to sell the site back to the previous owner, but leaked the entire Doxbin data set, which led to the community doxing him. It's like a soap opera. That's what happens when you get teenagers involved. All right. But very fascinating stuff in here. And I just find it funny, a group of teenagers just getting past all the Microsoft stuff. But as we can see, Microsoft is busy with critical things, very critical things. They can't worry about security. They have other critical things, and we're going to see what that is all about when we get to Sillyville. But for now, we're going to wrap this one up. If you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribestar page. You can jump on over there, subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. You can jump on over there. With that, thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.